Hello, guys. Coach Paul here. In today's Chalk Talk, I want to discuss levels of weightlifting, meaning, different experience you have in weightlifting and the do's and don'ts of how you should be training. So, why this topic came up is because throughout time, I've had a lot of clients come through and I get feedback. I get feedback from if they're in high school to see what they're doing with their strength training there at their schools. Same as with the college guys, same as with NFL guys and whatnot. I mean, regardless of what sport, um, I always ask the same questions just to see, number one, when I'm assessing them, just verbally, I can get feedback on what they have done before and what they haven't. And then, of course, we do a physical assessment to make sure that we're giving them the right exercises that is right, for the individual and their body. I always say everybody's bodies are different, so we have to train in different ways at times. But here's the deal. In weightlifting, it's no different than, say, doing some martial arts like karate or some type of martial arts where you advance in levels, where you get a different belt. You don't advance until you master, what you're learning within that level. And then you master it, and then you're able to get the new belt, you level up, and then you continue on and so forth. It's no different here in weight training. So, you know, what where my experience comes in and where I get my consensus, just so you know, it's through the 24 years experience that I have as a trainer. All right. 24 years. I started in the year 2000. I have multiple certifications, but I always say it's not just the certifications that you need. It's also experience you have personally in what you're doing as well as working with others, etc. So 24 years in the game, this is where I came up with my consensus. So a new weightlifter would be considered within the first 3 to 6 months of doing strength training. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean with just weights, but it could also mean just mastering the body weight. All right. A beginner level wouldn't be considered to me until they hit the 6 month point and within the 2 years. So 6 months to 2 years of consistent weight training, that's a beginner stage. After the 2 years, you become an intermediate weightlifter. Between the year 2 years to 5 years, you're an intermediate weightlifter. Now, from 5 years, you become advanced. All right? You become an advanced weightlifter. An elite lifter would be between 5 years to 10 years. And of course, the freaks would be 10 years and beyond. And here's what it is though, in all trueness, not everybody will even reach the advanced level of weight training. And the reason is because it takes a lot of dedication, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort and understanding your body and everything that you need to do to become an advanced weight training. So I break this down, and I'll break it down again because you'll understand my point of where trainers or coaches or dads or uncles or whoever they're having training are making big common mistakes. All right. Now, the beginners, the beginner weight trainers, they're lucky if they can at least get to the body weight lifts, like meaning you put a bench press and you can at least match your body weight. If I weigh, say, 200 pounds, I can bench 200 pounds. I can squat 200 pounds. That's a body weight. All right. At beginners, they might be able to reach that level. At the intermediate phase, they should be able to match their body weight, weight when they're lifting, or at least their body weight and a half. So if I'm 200 pounds, I should be able to lift 250 pounds at the end of the day. So advanced, like I said, most people won't reach it, but this is where you can lift 2 times your body weight. If you're an elite lifter with almost 10 years experience, you can reach up to 3 times your weight, and the freaks can go 3 times their weight and beyond. All right. So that's very important to know as well, because I have a scenario that also matches, the experience, as well as the weights that people actually use, and standards that they set. All right. So now, being that said, when we get athletes, obviously we work with a lot of young guys. So they're total newbies within beginners and even high schoolers. They're still beginners, freshmen, sophomore, maybe even junior, seniors. All right. So some of them will fall into the intermediate stage as they get older, maybe the juniors and seniors. But for the most part, a lot of them are beginners within their freshman year, sophomore year in high school. So now here's a scenario where coaches make mistakes, trainers make mistakes, some of us dads make mistakes. And I'll be quite honest, what I know now 24 years later, what I didn't know before, being in the weight room myself, there's a lot I realized that I really didn't know, and it's okay. All right. So I'm just sharing my knowledge based of experience of what I see, and it's really just to keep our athletes safe when you are training them. So scenario, talking to an athlete, they said at their high school, this is a freshman in high school, very beginner weightlifter, lifting weights for maybe a year, and they go into their weight training at their school and they share that they're doing overhead squats. What is an overhead squat? You can check it out, but basically you're cleaning it to your overhead where you're holding the bar over your head into a deep squat and then bringing it back up. So that number one for a now this is a football player, and I don't care what athlete it is, but I preach this all the time as well. Just again, it's my personal preference and my experience. I'm not downplaying anything or anybody, but this is just what, to my knowledge, what would be best. So to me, that's a very elite exercise for a weightlifter. It's what you see in the Olympic style in Olympics, is what you see in a lot of CrossFit. And for a football player, it's not a great need, number one. Number two, that's a very elite exercise for a beginner. Now, when I asked, who taught you how to do the lift, they also basically said no one taught them. It was just told to them how to do it, and they're just winging it and doing it on their own. There's so many things and different levels to this on why this can be bad for the athlete. So, number one, if it was myself doing a lift like that, I'm starting to assess their squat to make sure they can do a deep squat. The next level would be making sure that they can have the mobility to get their shoulders in a position to get that bar over their head. Now, if they cannot get into a deep squat, they cannot get the mobility in their shoulders, then this lift will not work and they can get severely injured where they can tear a rotator cuff or something of that nature. So again, you just have to have the proper assessments done in order to do elite lifts. So, I talk about this, the big five, where the big five lifts are the bench, the squat, the deadlift, the shoulder press, and a pull-up. Those basic lifts right there should be mastered before you do all these advanced elite weight training. The sad part about this scenario is that the athlete got ridiculed for not knowing how to do it, and the coach coaching it I bet couldn't even do it himself. And if he could, he didn't demonstrate it or progress it in any manner for the athlete to even know how to do it. So just wanted to share that. And the next part I talked about was the weights that you actually use. Now, there was a scenario where athletes said that, as freshmen, sophomores in high school, the weight trainer said that they had to at least squat 400 pounds. That was the standard. And it was something over 300 pounds in the bench press. It's a very unrealistic standard. I just shared earlier, based on the level of weightlifting that you are, on where you should be, at least where matching your body weight or beyond, there's levels to it. So I share this to say this. Make sure, guys, you are doing the proper lifts at the level that the athletes are, especially if you're in a team setting where you have 20 athletes or more in one training session. We have to make sure that they're getting the techniques down before they touch anything else. I like to use PVC pipes wooden sticks instead of a bar to make sure that they have the proper techniques. All right. So with that said, just make sure again that my model here in phase one, I've said it over and over again, is that we like to teach in progression. All right. Like meaning we go and we master one level until we advance to the next. I always take, if I can get the same results, that's what it is at the end of the day. If I can make an athlete more explosive, if that's what they want, if they want to be more explosive laterally, they want to jump higher, they want to run faster, whatever the case is, I will take the road of safe so they don't get injured in an exercise versus make it look fancy for number one, social media or for other people, or being knowledgeable on what it is that you're actually achieving for your athlete. I always take the road of being safe. All right. So, guys, with that said, I hope you take that for what it is. Again, it's not downplaying nothing. Any type of other weightlifting or trainers out there, it's just giving knowledge of what we should be doing because there's not a lot of knowledge, going on out there. So, till the next one, guys, take care. God bless. Be safe. Peace.